Hello and welcome to AFAL Podcasts, the home of objective, up-to-date and independent reporting on Turkey. Don't forget to follow our reports through social media, on afalnews.com or through our mobile app. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to Hot Pursuit, part of the AFAL podcast series. We are now following the case of Osman Kavala, which by way of Turkish Constitutional Court has landed regarding his case. Turkey's Top Court rejected Osman Kavala's individual application. The court found that his right to liberty and security has not been violated. As well known, Osman Kavala, a top figure of Turkish civil society and civilian rights struggle in Turkey for more than 2 decades, has been arrested on October 18, 2017, and arrest status has been changed to pre-detention on November 1st, 2017. So he's been behind bars more than 590 days. And the decision today has come for all those international law circles and at home as well as at home as a shock. Expectations were high that the top court would find basic breaches of the basic human rights. And decision was reached by a majority of 10-5 amongst top judges. With me is Milena Büyüm, campaigner for Turkey in Amnesty International, based in London. Welcome, Milena.
Hello.
Please give us your assessment about the today's ruling by the Turkish Top Court.
Well, your summary is quite accurate in terms of who Osman Kavala is and how long he's been behind bars on baseless charges and now facing an indictment that provides absolutely no evidence to the really quite serious allegations made against him. Today's decision actually goes against what the Constitutional Court's rapporteur yesterday was reported as saying, that there had been a rights violation in the case of Osman Kavala and his ongoing and arbitrary detention in Silivri prison since November 2017. So the decision of the General Council of the Constitutional Court today on a majority vote is utterly, goes against everything that that court was established to do, i.e. taking individual applications where there is a rights violation and finding and really redressing injustices and finding rights violations and making sure that the individuals were, that situation was redressed, basically.
So, what does this ruling leave Osman Kavala and his lawyers and his relatives at this stage? What does it leave?
I have not spoken to his lawyers. I've had some exchanges when the news came in. Obviously, we have not yet seen the justification by the court and the dissenting the judges' opinions either. So the document will probably not be available for some time yet to be examined. But I suspect the news is a crushing and terrible piece of news. I mean, we're all shocked, even though there are precedents. There are precedents that the Constitutional Court actually handed down decisions that showed rights violations, and local courts refused to implement those, like last year in the case of Mehmet Altan and others. And earlier this month, of course, the Constitutional Court also ruled against the cases of Ahmet Altan and Nazlı Ilıcak and other journalists who have been in pre-trial detention, and Ahmet Altan currently is serving a prison sentence that hasn't yet been confirmed by the Supreme Court. So, people are literally languishing in prison on charges that are outrageous, like in the case of Osman Kavala. Of course, he's not alone, but he's quite a symbolic case in terms of the attacks and the pressures on civil society in Turkey today. And literally there are no evidences, no concrete evidence of these outrageous charges that they are facing. Osman Kavala and 15 others are going to be in court later next month for the first time, because the indictment was accepted back in beginning of March against him and 15 others for having organized and led and attempted to spread across Turkey the 2013 Gezi Park protests. Of course, that wasn't the reason why Osman Kavala was first detained in October 2017, when he was being accused of, somehow playing a role in the 2016 coup attempt. So, everything is being thrown at individuals, prominent individuals. Some of them, some people who are not that prominent either, are caught in the dragnet in the post-coup context in Turkey, and it's and courts appear not to be bothered too much of indicting people on the basis of actual concrete evidence of wrongdoing. And the charges the 16 individuals, including Osman Kavala, are facing are one of the most serious offenses in the Turkish penal code. I mean, these are charges that have a sentence of life without the possibility of parole. So you'd think courts would be extra careful in how they prosecute these cases. You'd think they would be even more diligent to ensure that there is evidence that meet international standards. And yet, time and again, and unfortunately in this case, again, we see a complete disregard to those standards, and accusations that remain unproven throughout the process of prosecuting these individuals.
And now we have the trial dated for 24th of June, a day after the critical elections about Greater Istanbul municipality. And can we say that with today's ruling, all the domestic revenues have been consumed judicially? And given that, what will Amnesty do on the level of European Court of Human Rights, and also following the trial that is due to begin towards the end of June?
Well, I mean, Osman Kavala's lawyers have also, they've made this application to the Constitutional Court around 2 months after his imprisonment. So, I mean, it took the Constitutional Court a year and a half to consider the case. That's something to also note, the time it takes for these applications to be considered. And there is an application by Osman Kavala in front of the European Court of Human Rights. You might be aware that the Council of Europe Commissioner for Human Rights, Dunja Mijatovic, is a third-party intervenant in that case, and the European Court of Human Rights often says that it will not consider the cases until domestic remedies have been exhausted. Now, there is an argument that unfortunately the Constitutional Court in Turkey does not constitute a domestic remedy in the sense that it does not, where there is obvious human rights violations that have been demonstrated by the applicants, the court still doesn't find these violations. And I think in the form of it, yes, procedurally, this is the end of the road. I'm no lawyer, but this appears to be the end of the road in the case of Osman Kavala's attempts to seek redress domestically. So what we would say is that the European Court of Human Rights will, I'm sure, has been watching what's going on in this new development, and we would hope for a speedy consideration of his application to the European Court of Human Rights. That's still pending, and offer a chance for redress in that case. I mean, he's already been in prison, as you said, almost 600 days, when he should not have spent a single day incarcerated. And this is a grave injustice that needs to be remedied.
Milena Büyüm, campaigner for Turkey with Amnesty International, thank you for these comments.
Thank you.